Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So hey, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. I'm so excited that you're joining me today. I'm so excited that Accelerated Investor has been a part of your growth, both as an individual, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a real estate investor. We've gotten tremendous amounts of feedback on social media and ratings and reviews, and I know it's having a massive impact on lots and lots and lots of entrepreneurs and real estate investors, and want to continue to grow that. So whether you're learning and listening today from the gym, or you're going for a walk, or you're listening in your car, I just want to say thank you. Congratulations on working on yourself. That's really what it's all about, right? Becoming a bigger, better version of yourself. And I'm glad that Accelerated Investor has had an impact on you. If this is your first episode, welcome, and you're in for a treat. Today, my guest is Kelly Stumphauzer. She is a real estate entrepreneur through and through. She is the executive director of Greater Cleveland Management as a property manager. She's a single family investor. She also owns lots of multifamily properties. Her company is a property manager as well. She's the manager of Limitless Turnkey. I actually use her firm to place tenants into many of my properties and during lease turnovers. And I just funded and walked through two of her new acquisitions, a 19-unit apartment building and a 10-unit apartment building. But this is the first time that Kelly and I have had the opportunity to really share one-on-one. So Kelly, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So Kelly, you tell us just a little bit more today about your businesses, about your money-making strategies. You're into a lot of different types of investing, buying single-family homes, multifamily, property management. So just tell us a little bit more about your business. Give us some more foundation and some color about what you're up to.
Sure. So I am the sole owner of a turnkey company called Prosper Cleveland, primarily focused on single family in the Cleveland market only. I am a partner in another turnkey company called Limitless Turnkey, and our focus is small multifamily, 2 to 4 unit, in multiple markets, not just Cleveland. I have a partnership there. I am the executive director, as you mentioned, of Greater Cleveland Management. That's a partnership with my brokerage, Keller Williams Greater Cleveland. And then finally, personally, and through that same partnership as Limitless Turnkey, I am a multifamily investor. And that's a relatively new venture. I would say all of these businesses feed into one another. So it keeps you really busy, but they're all synchronistic.
Fantastic.
Insane.
Yeah, and you're also a busy mom. You got small kids, as I do as well, and you've got to kind of make that all work together. And so, as you've made this jump into smaller multifamily, just tell us a little bit more about how your business and your business strategy of a lot of turnkey, a lot of cash flowing properties. Why is that important to you, and how does that help you? And really fulfill you on a personal level? What does it do for your personal life, whether it's freedom or cash flow? Why did you decide to focus on those types of strategies?
So, I started years and years ago as an investor myself. I was just buy and hold. And then I got into flipping, and through years of experience, it just kind of fed into the turnkey space. As you know, that's in such big demand. Suddenly I find myself doing so much work to provide passive cash flow for other investors. And I love doing that. Don't get me wrong. But one day I realized I'm like, here, I started my business on the foundation and the principles of passive cash flow, and I'm providing that for others, and I've ignored it for myself. And so the turnkey businesses at this point, there's still businesses that I'm passionate about, but really they feed into the multifamily investing. So I have taken my focus off transactional income and put it back into passive income. So, the turnkey businesses, obviously they support my lifestyle, they pay the bills, but it's also helping to fund operations costs and the capital needed to buy more multifamily.
Fantastic. Yeah, these couple buildings that I walked are great assets. Obviously, I met and talked with your contractor who really seems to know what he's doing over there. Looked like the one building was about a $250,000 reposition stabilization. The other was $150,000. I was just in those buildings a couple weeks ago, but what are your thoughts on those buildings? Those are the two of the more recent acquisitions. How are things going? How far along are you? When do you think they'll be stabilized? And just tell us a little bit more about those deals.
Sure. Yeah. Kind of a crazy story. I had a friend reach out to me and he's like, hey, I know you said you're looking for apartments. I don't know if you saw these on LoopNet. As we all know, once it's on LoopNet, it's gone, right?
Right.
And so I just took the chance, called the list agent, had a convo with her, and she was like, look, we're under contract, but the seller is being, fairly demanding. He wants non-refundable earnest money, and the buyer is really not responded to that yet. They don't know if they're comfortable. So I called my business partner and I said, hey, these are like prime assets and we may be able to get in on these. What do you want to do? And I still remember he's like, you can't win the lottery if you don't play. Let's do it. So we put in non-refundable earnest money, got them under contract within 24 hours. There were tons of interested buyers. They were owned by someone who lived out of the country, who had owned them for quite some time and had them filled with government subsidized tenants in a prime area. I don't really think they understood the value of the assets they were sitting on. They were pretty neglected, lots of deferred maintenance, and we just saw a huge value add opportunity. So the renovations are fairly significant. We actually closed 3 at the same time. You visited 2 of the 3.
Right.
But the 2, it's really important to do a fantastic renovation because we're pushing the rents almost double in the one building and considerably more in the other. So as you mentioned, I have a fantastic construction manager. He really knows what he's doing. He's done a lot of research on materials. We hired an interior designer who's helping guide that whole process and putting together the storyboards for both buildings. We're about midway through renovations, I hope, by the end of this week. But yeah, those are the kind of assets that you're really proud to own after the fact. So I'm trying to be patient. We're making those payments every month. They're a little bit painful till we're stabilized. But yeah, I'll be really proud to see what happens at the end of it and proud to own them over the long term.
Yeah. When I walk the buildings, I was like, looking at potential net operating income after they're stabilized and literally doubling the rents. I was baffled to see that there was government subsidized types of tenants in that particular part of the city. That's prime location for people getting in and out of downtown or trying to get on the freeway, and parks and the lake and all that kind of stuff. Is really an amazing building. So congratulations on buying those. I can't wait to see that they're stabilized.
Thanks.
It's going to be great. My newest and most powerful real estate investing book, The Flip System, is now available. And for a limited time, you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. Using the same proven principles, secrets, and investing strategies I'm sharing in this book, I've been able to personally close over 750 highly profitable real estate deals over the last 15 years, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million of private money, and acquire over 2,000 units of apartments. Get my newest book now for free for a limited time at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast. So Kelly, tell us a little bit more about the future. This is the first kind of larger step into these multifamily, buying about 30, 40 units all at one time. Is that going to be part of the focus going forward? It sounds like you're getting a little bit more focused on yourself, a little bit more greedy with your time and your money, which I think is great, that you're not focused on everybody else's turnkey assets, but your own. So is that going to be part of the go forward strategy, is to just focus on multifamily, focus on small balance commercial, and then move into some larger apartments?
Yeah, I mean, we're already doing that. My partner and I have taken a pretty aggressive stance on it. We are committed together to adding as many units, the right kind of units, obviously, to our portfolio as possible. On the turnkey space, I mean, I'm still very heavily involved in both businesses. I think my aim there is really to work on my businesses instead of in them, and to empower my employees to work on my behalf so that I can focus on the larger multifamily buy and hold.
That's great. So let's take a step back, right? So I love to hear from our guests who are having a lot of success in real estate and find out when they got started and kind of what was going on in their personal life and in their business life when they really got going in real estate. So just help our audience understand, like, when did you catch the real estate bug and why? Was it something that you thought, oh my gosh, like real estate is creating passive income and equity and profit for so many other people, like I've got to get into this? Or was it maybe you hated an old situation or an old job or an old boss, or just couldn't stand something in the past that you were maybe running away from? For me, it was a combination of both. I hated my old job as a financial advisor. I was working nights and weekends, and I also saw the upside of real estate. So what was that whole situation like for you, and how did you make the pivot?
Yeah, so honestly, I was just a bored housewife. I have a pretty type A personality. You know, I'm a pretty ambitious person, and I had a little daughter at the time, and I have a very overactive brain, and you can only handle so much Sesame Street and the like, you know. And there was an ad in the newspaper. This is back when people actually read the newspaper, and somebody was hiring a bird dog. And so I showed up, you know, thinking, well, maybe I want to be a bird dog. And I told him, I'm like, you know, I'll do this in lieu of pay. I just want to know what you know. And so I read all the materials that he had access to. I basically learned as I went. As I mentioned, I started really just going out and surveying properties for this investor and learning the rehab side of things. So understanding the numbers, understanding renovations, then went on to buy some of my own single family. This was back in the early 2000s, by the way.
All right.
And then when the market was really taking off, like 2000, probably at our peak, 2005, 2006, I was flipping. And then before too long, I started doing acquisitions for like hedge funds and other investors. But yeah, honestly, I started as a bored housewife. My daughter would take her naps in a little car seat in the back of my car instead of in her crib while I drove around and look at distressed inventory.
That's great.
Kind of grown from there. It's my passion. I love real estate. I love every aspect of it. You know, it's all synchronistic, the way everything happens.
Fantastic. And so your daughter, I can imagine she probably didn't even know some of the smells and some of the sounds and some of the stuff that she experienced as a newborn. That's fantastic. Just taking her out in the field. I mean, kids sleep so well in the back of a car seat anyway, right? So might as well get her out. That's great. So tell me a little bit more, Kelly, then about the future, right? Like now that you've been through a lot of experience, almost 15 years, the good, the bad, and the ugly of real estate, doing a lot of cash flow stuff, and now multifamily. Like, where do you see yourself pivoting to, and what do you think has to happen for you to get there?
So, you know, it's all about systems and processes, as you know, as you scale. And I think as entrepreneurs, that's never our fine point, right? I mean, that's just not my skill set. I'm more of a visionary. I'm very active. I'm always on the move. And sometimes it's really hard to slow down and put those processes in place so that you can take another step forward. Mm-hmm. That's definitely on my radar right now. Implementing EOS into my companies, as I mentioned, just being able to empower my employees to like work on my behalf so that I can work on my own buy and hold inventory. that's definitely the future for me. And really good time management. We only have so much of it, as you know, and I'm divided amongst several business ventures. And so I think those two things definitely: more processes, more systems, better time management.
Got it. So help me understand a little bit, because I'm a busy father and husband, much like you. I've got 3 small kids, 11, 9, and 7, and they're now going into school, and they're starting all their fall sports. And I'm coaching, it seems like everything, and running businesses. So I'm always interested to talk to other entrepreneurs, especially it sounds like you're built like me, in that you like to be out and talk and network and look for deals and not really feel like you have the handcuffs of being back at the office and focus on systems. But tell me a little bit more about maybe some of your life hacks. How are you able to manage a busy life, and being a busy mom? How are you able to handle these real estate investments? Because so many people make the excuse of, I don't have time, I don't have the money, I don't have the experience. And so you just kind of make it go. But how does it go for you? Do you have any kind of scheduling hacks or ways that you run your personal calendar? Are there times that you take out of your day or your week specifically to set aside for your family life and that kind of thing? What are some things that kind of make your life kind of work for you?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that it's really regimented, my time blocking, but it's not necessarily. It's more intuitive, right? So if my children need my attention, well, one, I've always worked my schedule around my children's schedule. So a lot of people know during the school year, despite how busy I am, I'm back home when the bus pulls up. I dedicate my time, to help my children with their homework, to get them to where they need to be, because they are my why, right? I'm doing this for my family. I'm not doing it certainly for any notoriety or, anything like that. So they get my attention during a very critical time during the day, and everyone that works with me knows that. Now, if there's an important call, my children know I have to take it, I'll do that. But really, it's based more on intuition than anything. If I feel like I've been really encumbered with work and I haven't been able to give them proper attention, then I'll take a day off, or a half a day, or even a couple hours, and I shut that phone off, and I'm just trying to be present and give them my attention. There are many times where I'm working at 11 o'clock at night because I took that 4 to 6 hour or 4 to 6 p.m. window off. And I don't mind that. I feel like as long as I'm working around their schedule and their needs, it's okay for me.
Yeah, Kelly, is there anything that you think along that journey and being busy with your real estate business and with your kids, is there anything that you've thought that you purposely gave up? What I often find is that people say, I don't have time for this. And my response is, you're not making time, or you're not prioritizing your time. Things that you say are important really aren't important. You're not demonstrating that they're important by your actions. And so I'm always curious to talk to entrepreneurs about things that they might have left behind, things that they've had to give up, things that they used to enjoy that they no longer indulge in, whether it's fun with their friends or going out for drinks or, whatever, golfing, and just some of the stuff that's kind of on the periphery. And they all of a sudden realize, you know what, this just really isn't that important to me anymore. And I've got to do less and be really good at the couple things that I really want to be good at. Maybe it's, being a great mom or a great husband or your real estate investing, raising money. I found I've had to give up a lot. Is there anything that you kind of left behind in your journey?
I have to really think about that. I do think for a time, I was not taking great care of myself, right? I was taking really good care of everybody else's needs. And then I realized that was not going to last over the long term. And so that's a pretty consistent focus of mine. If I don't take care of myself, I can't do all of these things. I don't know, what I've necessarily given up along the way. The things that I value, I make time for. Certainly there's less time socially. Certainly there's less leisure time than there was. But I feel like I really am passionate about what I do. I've made so many great relationships as an entrepreneur and in the real estate realm. So many of my friends are in the field. I don't really necessarily feel like I've given up my social life, because my business partner, for instance, and my employees, the people that work with me, they are part of my social outlet. So in that respect, I guess there's been some changes, but I don't feel like I've made huge sacrifices that have affected me in a negative sense. Really, more than anything, it's just a focus on self-care and that whole balance that we're always trying to achieve.
Yeah. I love the word self-care. I had a good friend of mine who was holding a mastermind group about 4 years ago, and Sean Stevenson was in the group, and Sean is a well-known psychiatrist, and he has a huge practice down in Arizona, and Sean was in the group, and Sean was talking about depression and anxiety and stress, and he used those exact words. He actually said the cure for all of that, the cure for whether it's overindulging, over drinking, overeating, being overweight, depression, stress, the cure for all of that is self-care.
That's right.
Right? And scheduling that in, because if you're not taking care of yourself to a large degree, how can you possibly fully love and appreciate other people? So you said that you're taking care of yourself. Do you find yourself time? Do you have an early morning hack where maybe you're going to the gym or going for a walk, or what allows you to get in the right mindset early in your day, take care of yourself so you can take care of your business and others?
Yeah, again, I wish it was more regimented, but I can tell you I've just become very intuitive about it, right? I mean, you know how it goes. It's constant emails, constant phone calls, constant texts. And before too long, you feel the buildup, right? You start to feel the stress. Maybe you're just feeling less focused, whatever the case may be. I'm a lot better at, present age and all my experience of recognizing when that's happening to me. And then I'm like, I need to shut it down for a while. And I just need to get centered. And regardless of what that is, I mean, it could be something so simple as just getting in my car and going for a drive with my phone off, listening to music, exercising, going to the park, having a one-on-one conversation where I'm fully present with somebody that I care about. And it just recenters me. And it really doesn't take a lot. You just cannot wait until it's past the point of no return. I'm sure you know what that feels like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And for me, when I just had this conversation with my wife the other day, when I was talking to her about when I feel like I'm getting out of control and business is out of control and there's just too much going on with the kids, I find myself, I told her, I'm paying like continual, partial attention to all these projects. Like
right.
There's like 60 projects going on, and I've got my attention partially on this one and 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 this one. When I feel like I take back my joy and I take back my control, it's normally because I pick 2 or 3 projects and just fully indulge and fully commit to those, and everything else just has to wait. And then I feel like I'm actually pushing one of the big boulders that I have. I'm pushing it uphill, and I'm pushing it all the way uphill that it's gone, instead of a lot of times I feel like I push it up halfway and it just rolls back on top of me. And that normally happens when I'm paying partial attention to a whole lot of stuff. And it just builds up and builds up and builds up. And then I feel like, okay, I've got to stop. And often for me, it comes with journaling. I journal every morning. I write things down. So as soon as I get up, first thing I do, gratitude journal, but I just write about what I'm going to be doing. And I find the opportunity to create priorities right away, allows me to gain control, and then allows me to pay specific attention to a couple of things as opposed to continual partial attention to like 42 things. And I think we all experience that as entrepreneurs, like you talked about, right? The intuition. For me, I don't have the female intuition. I wish I did, because you guys have that major advantage over us dudes. I wish I had your ability to do that. So for me, I guess the way I try to own that is through that early morning journaling. So Kelly, tell me about the future. Like, what do you perceive this, goals, objectives? Like, is this just adding and adding and adding for you, or do you have a specific exit in mind? Like, what do your kind of big goals look like the next 3, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm focused on retirement right now. And when I say retirement, it's, I will probably never be fully retired, right? My brain's way too active to do that. But I just want to get to the place where I have complete freedom. And that's not too far off in the distance. My partner and I have spoken about this at length, about what that looks like for both of us financially and where we need to get with our businesses. So it's kind of a short-term plan. That's the focus every day. That's the focus.
Is that based on like a certain amount of units to own and a certain amount of cash flow? Is that where that's coming from?
Yeah, I would say so. It's getting these turnkey companies to a certain volume over the course of the next few years and putting as much into the multifamily side as we possibly can. There's an aim of a certain number of units and definitely cash flow. And then again, I'll always be involved in real estate, I think, in some way, shape, or form. But it's crazy to think that it's been 16 years I've been doing this. It's gone by so fast, and to think that I'm actually thinking retirement stuff. But I'm definitely of that mindset at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, cash flow, right? To me, it's about the personal freedom where you have enough assets and enough cash flow coming in that it takes care of all the bills and more than affords a very fun and luxurious type of lifestyle to do everything that you want regarding travel and still be involved in real estate and, looking over your properties or maybe even adding some more, but then pivoting into stuff that really gets in at the end of the road here, the end of this entrepreneurial road, to focus on things that really, for me, give me a lot of joy. Like taking care of kids that are underprivileged or building 100%. Houses for people who are underprivileged. To me, that's where it's at. And we've spent more and more time doing that now, even though we're still in our build phase. Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. So Kelly, as we kind of get to the last couple of questions here, I always like to ask our guests about the craziest deal that they've ever done. Could be good, bad, or a total dumpster fire. We all have them, and I think it's something that my audience loves to hear about, especially the dumpster fires. But it could be an amazing deal that turned out way better than expected, or a deal that was really challenging. Is there one that pops out for you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so many dumpster fires, right? How do you choose? I can just reference the deal we did with you guys was a bit of a crazy ride. As I mentioned earlier, the seller of those units was out of the country. And when we went to hire an appraiser, we went through the recommendation and referral of a residential appraiser we used. And this commercial appraiser, who we thought was very active, was actually just an educator. So he didn't have any real world, I don't know if you were involved in this at all.
I'm aware
real
of
world experience. And so he really delayed the process for us and ended up costing us a lot of money. We almost lost the deal at the very end because the sellers flew in from Argentina to close, and we still didn't, we still don't have clear, still in underwriting due to this appraiser's mess ups. And it just so happened, sadly, that the seller got sick and ended up at the Cleveland Clinic for some emergency procedure.
Best place to be when you're sick.
So they're staying in a hotel here. We're supposed to close on this deal. We ended up having to drum up a bunch of cash at the very end because of this appraiser. And yeah, I don't know. It was just all the way that it unfolded that was just crazy. It's just one of many, though. I'm sure I could write a book on all the crazy stuff that's happened. That's the one thing with real estate, as you know. I mean, there's never two deals that are the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting for sure. And it's a dumpster fire sometimes at the same time.
It's all about how you manage it, right?
Yeah, and really, I think it's, our widget that we work on, like some people make computer parts and they make, different things and they manufacture stuff and that's their widget. And when they have their widget, things go wrong. It goes wrong in every business. Right. Ours just happen to be, properties, multifamily, flips, whatever it is. And things definitely can go wrong. And at the same time, even the assets that I bought that I maybe overpaid for, I overimproved, I was all into them for way too much. When I refinanced them, stabilized them, and cash flowed them, they've all turned out over the long haul to be an amazing asset to own. right?
Right.
There's really no asset that you could buy. And even if you paid full price, even if it was only cash flowing $1 positive, and after 20 years have somebody else pay off your mortgage and own this asset, whether it's worth $100,000 or $10 million, it's just an amazing concept that you just cannot beat anywhere else.
Totally agree.
So Kelly, last question. What's some advice that you'd pass along to our audience? You've got, 15, 16 years of experience, had the highs and the lows, focused on cash flow. Is there advice that you'd give back to our audience or even to your younger former self when you were younger, relationship-wise, business-wise, raising capital, doing deals? Could be anything. Is there anything that pops out that you'd like to pass back to our audience?
Yeah, my stuff is always mindset stuff. I remember I was always hung up on my mistakes, right? And I'd look at the people that are, maybe where I am now, and I go, I'm never going to get there. I keep making all these mistakes. And now sitting where I am, I'm like, every one of those mistakes, it was literally just converted into experience, right? And we always say, like, there's no substitute for experience. I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't made mistake after mistake after mistake, the wrong acquisitions, choosing the wrong employees, hiring the wrong contractors, all the full gamut. So I think, my biggest piece of advice is to use those mistakes as a learning experience, right? And don't get hung up on them. Just understand that it's all part of the greater plan.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's Joseph McClendon, who's Tony Robbins' business partner, that speaks at Unleash the Power Within. I've been to that once. I'm going back in November. And Joseph McClendon says there's no such thing as winners and losers. There's only winners and learners. As long as you're learning from those negative experiences, right? It's the people that have that bad experience and quit, like then that's a loser, as opposed to somebody that learns from that experience and says, this is what I want. I'm going to stay with it until I get there, even with these negative experiences. That's really, really where it's at. So Kelly, thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate all your advice. I look forward to doing a ton more deals with you, whether it's debt, whether it's equity. I just hope we can do a ton more and help you achieve your goals and ours together. It would be fantastic. If any of our audience wants to reach out to you, partner with you on a deal, bring you a deal, become a private lender, or just connect on social media, what's a good place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, sure. So there's several ways to connect with me. Both turnkey companies have Facebook pages and Instagram pages. The one turnkey company is Prosper Cleveland. The other is Limitless Turnkey. You can find us online or on social media. If you're looking for management services, the name of the company is Greater Cleveland Management. You can find us at rentfromkw.com or on Facebook at Greater Cleveland Management. And if you want to reach me personally, I am Kelly, Kelly, at prospercleveland.com.
Fantastic. So there you have it. Kelly Stumphauzer. I appreciate all your advice and sharing. Look forward to doing a ton more deals with you.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Take care.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities to start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. Apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.